Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about some of the paradoxes in relationships with women that a lot of guys face, that a lot of guys have trouble wrapping their heads around, if that makes sense. Because they might run into some pitfalls because they're doing certain things, like being not aggressive enough, for example, okay? And then all of a sudden they then flip to the opposite and be aggressive, and then they run into other problems, and it's like, wait, like scratching their heads, what am I supposed to do? And this is kind of a paradox because it's a dichotomy that happens, and there's like two extremes, okay? And I'm going to go over a few of these of examples of this. That here's the major takeaway point. I'll just lay it down right off the bat. Is you have to find kind of a balance between the two. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few, and each one is unique in its own way and with its own unique examples. But again, you have to learn that it's not one or the other. It's like a combination of the two, the middle way. And sometimes you got to be more one, and sometimes you got to be more the other way. Okay, it's adaptable. You're like an elastic band, fluid, flexible. Okay, in your approach, and in doing so, it has to be a lot up here. What you're doing, why you're doing the things, the behavior that you're doing has to be from up here. It's not coming from just impulse. Okay, because a lot of guys, they again fall into these pitfalls, these traps, or just don't succeed because they're basing their behavior off just basic impulses that women are drawn to. Okay, so I got to talk about the fact that there's a push-pull dynamic that happens, okay, with women. And I'll go with the push. If you come on too strongly, then you're going to drive them away. It's like, say you're walking down the street and there's a little kitty cat there, okay, on the side of the road. And you're like, oh, kitty cat. And you run up to it real fast. Like, kitty, I want to pet you, right? Like, what's that cat going to do? It's going to go, and then boom, run away super fast. It's just going to, like, fight or flight. It's just going to, gone. Same with them, because their instinctual kind of nervous reaction puts them into a flight mode. Okay, they won't want anything to do with you if you come on too strong, too fast. If you're coming on too strong without them even reciprocating or giving you any indicators that's the case, then come on too strong. And the same is with like actual physical proximity. Like if you get into somebody's personal space that too much real quick when they don't know you, or they didn't invite you into that, didn't give you a reason to, then it's like all of a sudden that's just a repulsion that happens. That's a push. Okay. So then a lot of guys might go the opposite direction, which is showing no interest in, and this is kind of the paradox that you have to show. It's not like you don't show any interest, but it's like the amount of interest that you show has to be, I think, less or equal to what they're showing. Initially, you show interest at the fact that you're approaching them and that you might find them attractive, and you're smiling and being friendly. But it's not until then you can move up, okay? The ladder of escalation. The guys initiate this, though. Like I mentioned in my last video, that's a few guys had issues with. Now, if you don't show enough interest, then she's going to be like, this guy's not interested in me. He's not calling me. He's not talking to me. He's looking away from me. His body language isn't good. So then she's going to be not into you either. So where in that middle ground should you be? You have to be, there's somewhere in between. A combination of that, okay? So I'll let you guys think about that. I'm not going to give you the direct answer right now. I will in the conclusion of things. But just like feel that for a second. Like embody yourself in that type of situation. imagine yourself in that situation when you're with women. And I'm relating this to the pickup game, but it goes again to just relationships in general. This happens in all types of relationships. Okay. It happens with some guy who's trying to make a sale on somebody. If the guy who's in sales is trying too hard to make a sale, too aggressive, you're gonna push the clients away. They're gonna like, let's go. But if the guy's not pushing a sale enough, you're gonna lose the clients too. So again, this is where I learned this, that there's a middle way here. Okay. The second one is, I made a video about this recently. The whole nice guy finishes last, but then the opposite of that is the bad boy. Okay. And I already talked about the nice guy, but I'll just touch upon that the nice guy, it's kind of an act that it's just like shows insecurity. It's just a way to cover their insecurities, that they're trying to be nice to please the girl, and it just shows weakness. Okay, just watch my video on that the other day, because I think I cover a lot of points that a lot of guys might not always consider when it comes down to that. But on the opposite side, the bad boy, right? What you think, guys are interested in the bad boys, but a lot of them, especially girls who are experienced in relationships, maybe ones in their early 20s, 19 to 21, might be still in the bad boy, but when they grow out of that a bit, but there still has to be kind of a bad boy mentality there as well. Okay. So again, if you go too much, it's just like you're a total dick, then that's not a good thing either, right? So again, there's somewhere in between. Maybe situationally, sometimes you're a bit more on the bad boy side, maybe sometimes you're a bit more nice side, right? So maybe it's that you're considerate enough to do things, but as well, you don't take no for an answer in certain situations where you feel like, or you just make decisions. It's not like if there's a situation that you be assertive in their decision making, and that's not necessarily being a bad boy, but it's might be disagreeable at some point in doing so. Okay, which actually leads to my next point exactly, which is agreeableness versus disagreeableness. A lot of guys, sorry, I'm I feel like I'm gonna sneeze here. I'm in like that. I got a sneeze coming on, but it's not. So here, just bear with me for a sec. Agreeableness versus disagreeableness. Guys who are overly agreeable, who are just yes men. Yes, yes, yes. Just nodding to you. Oh yeah, I totally agree. Again, they might just be agreeing with you. It might just seem like they're agreeing with you because they're afraid to say no. Yeah. Like there's some cultures that are like that. Japanese, I think. Sorry, this is really bugging me. I'll blow my nose for a sec. Sorry, guys. But on the opposite side, somebody who's very disagreeable, who's just like, it's like they say no for the sake of saying no, and that gets tiresome as well. Somebody who's always disagreeable, there's always some type of conflict going on, right? It always seems like there is. They create conflict. They are addicted to it in a way. So nobody likes that either. Although, generally speaking, women are drawn to guys who are disagreeable. There's studies that show this. But it has to come down to the fact that you have boundaries. You can say no. Oh my God. Sorry again. So lastly, these are all just examples, which I think all guys can relate to in some way or another. And the last one has to come down to emotional availability versus a degree of mystery. Now, what is emotional availability? It's that you put everything on the table right away to them. You just meet them for the first time, and it's like, boom, here it all is. Here's me. There's nothing left to mystery anymore. It's like you're just totally open book. And on the other side, you're totally closed, and she's like, who is this guy? What the fuck? She doesn't know nothing about you. So a little bit of mystery is a good thing. If you're totally open book, everything on the table, then you're not predictable anymore. There's nothing left to be revealed. There's no curiosity there. And curiosity actually is part of the formula. If there was like a mathematical formula for attraction, a degree of curiosity is part of that. Okay, being intrigued about somebody, like curious. I want to get them to know them more. There's more they want to know. There's more. They're curious of that. What's more to them? Okay. So a degree of mystery is a good thing, but at the same time, if you're just totally mysterious and she can't read you at all, she's going to be like, "Sorry, this guy kind of scares me." That's kind of like a thing too, because you're not revealing anything about yourself. You're not opening up. You're just totally closed. So, and a lot of guys are like that. Can be like that because they don't know how to communicate properly. Yeah, I think in a lot of these examples, all has to come down to the communication with language, but body language as well. For example, agreeable, disagreeable comes down to language. You use your emotional availability, mystery again, open book. You just lay everything down, or you're just totally tight-lipped. Nice guy, bad boy. If you say no or yes, again, language being used, and the push-pull as far as how assertive you are. Like all these things come down to the language that you use, and there is a middle way. In Buddhism, Buddha was that's what his teachings were about, was the middle way. And what it comes down to is that that there are two extremes, there are two sides to the coin, but they're like the same coin, and you can be in the middle. Like there's a perfect balance. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's just right. Okay, that's a perfect example of fairy tales. Illustrate a lot of times these things really well. That's how stories relay this to especially younger generations back in the day. So it's about finding that balance, but in doing so, again, I have to reiterate, I say this a lot in all my videos, you're doing so from an authentic base. There's a genuineness about you, okay? Because even if you are, like, say, a dick sometimes, if you're being genuine, then that's okay. We can be a bit disagreeable, and we can be, that sometimes. Although I wouldn't recommend that when you're first meeting a girl, to be overtly, starting arguments per se. But you can challenge her, because in that challenging, it's showing that you have standards, and if she's whatever behavior actions you're doing, and you challenge her on those behaviors, then that shows that you're selecting yourself. You're not just open to hook up with her like already, right? And that's probably one more I could have added to your example, is that you want to be the degree you want to be with them, like 100% or 0%. You're showing interest. I guess that's the interest. 100% interest or 0% interest. You show too much interest, that's you're pushing. I guess that's the example with the cat. Interested. They're gone. If you're just, their DMs are full of your messages, for example. Who's the fuck, this guy's showing too much interest, that's totally put off. Or if you're showing no interest, you're not asking her, not doing anything. When she's interested, might be attracted herself. That's not good either. So I laid this down. What are your guys' thoughts? I think this is a very important thing to wrap your mind around if you're a guy, because it illustrates kind of a fundamental nature of things, of our universe, but in the microcosm of relationships that we have, interpersonal relationships, correct? In our universe, we have the positive and the negative, the push-pull, magnetism, and that's kind of how things work. But when you find the balance and you work with, say, the forces of magnetism, the forces of attraction, then you can make it work in your favor. You're a goddamn physicist at that point. And there's no exaggeration of that, because it is literally physical nature, physical attraction. Okay? So I think that's a good way to close this. What are your thoughts? Leave in the comments section below. Peace.